Her tray is already falling when his hand starts to rise. Silver flashes, glasses tilt, a single cube of ice breaks loose and skids across the polished marble like it is trying to escape before anyone else dares to move. The sound, thin, frantic, almost apologetic, cuts through the low hum of money and politics drifting under the chandeliers of the Han River Club. Everyone sees the cube. Almost no one sees the girl in cream. She is half hidden beside him, spine bowed, fingers clenched around the strap of her silk clutch. The light from the chandeliers turns her skin pale and ghostly, like she's already fading from the scene. Her eyes are locked on the man towering over her, not on the hand that is about to land. Amara sees both. Her body is already moving before her mind has time to form a thought, before logic can whisper that this is not her country, not her fight, not her war. By the time the ice hits the floor, she is between them. His wrist is in her hand. The contact is sharp, hot, a jolt that runs straight up her arm. Tendons jump under her fingers. He is stronger, but he is not ready. She is. The room stops. Conversations cut off mid-syllable. Chopsticks hang above plates. A server in the corner freezes halfway through pouring wine, the dark stream glistening, suspended. Somewhere, a phone buzzes against a silk pocket and no one reaches for it. The chairman of the Han River Club, a man whose name travels through back channels like a quiet threat, has his hand in the air, and a black waitress is holding it there. If you turn away now, you become exactly like everyone else in this room, the kind of person who watches a hand fall and pretends it never happened. Stay. See what happens when someone refuses to look away. The man turns his head slowly. His profile is sharp in the chandelier light, high cheekbones, a jaw built for commands, eyes that have seen enough fear to expect it on sight. His suit is dark enough to drink the light around his shoulders. His other hand rests casually on the table beside him, fingers curled near a crystal glass, as if this interruption is a minor inconvenience, like a fly. He looks down at her grip. Amara's knuckles are pale against his skin, but her hand does not shake. Release, he says softly, in Korean. The word is mild. The danger underneath is not. Her heart hammers hard enough to rattle her ribs. She feels the vibration in her throat more than she hears it. The scent of the room sharpens, chilled alcohol, polished wood, faint cologne layers cracking under the heat of embarrassment pulsing from the men in suits along the walls. They are spaced like a security perimeter, single-breasted black suits, white shirts, ties so dark they may as well be cords around their necks. Each one knows exactly how far they are from their nearest weapon, their nearest exit, their nearest witness. None of them move. Not yet. Amara's spine lengthens an inch. The weight of her uniform, black dress, white apron, sensible shoes, disappears in her mind, replaced by the memory of Kevlar and sand and screams pressed flat by distance. Her eyes stay level with his throat, not his gaze. She knows better than to blink first. Sir, she answers, in careful Korean, your hand is in the wrong place. The woman in cream makes a sound then, a small, broken inhale that cuts Amara more than any barked order ever did. Her lipstick is perfect. Her mascara is not. A faint print of old fingers marks the inside of her wrist, half hidden by the silk sleeve. No one in this room saw that either. But they all saw the moment Amara moved. Above them, the chandeliers glitter like a constellation that belongs to someone else. Light fractures on crystal, spilling over the tables, the glassware, the polished heads of the men who think they own this city. The banquet hall is a palace of reflections, and yet somehow Amara's brown skin, close-cropped hair, and neutral expression barely register in any of them. Invisible. Until now. A murmur stirs near the far wall. The staff line, a row of servers in matching black and white, has sagged into disarray. Someone's jaw hangs open. Another's eyes are wide and fixed on the chairman's hand as if trying to will it free without stepping in. They all know the rules. Staff do not interfere. Staff do not speak unless spoken to. Staff are replaced, not protected. Amara learned different rules first. Breathe evenly. Assess exits. Prioritize the vulnerable. Block the blow before it lands. She didn't come here to be a hero. She came because rent does not care what the uniform used to be. Let go, the man repeats. He changes languages, this time English, testing whether she is simply an overzealous local staff member or something else. The word is clean, unaccented, carried by a voice that has practiced commanding Americans to heal in conference rooms and on golf courses. Her grip tightens. Not today, she says. 3 words. No tremor. She feels the shift travel through the room like a pressure wave. The nearest bodyguard's foot moves half an inch. A vein jumps in the neck of a man at the main table, the one with the gold watch and the eyes that never leave the chairman's face. The woman in cream takes a step back, heels skidding slightly. Her perfume lingers in the air between them, floral and cloying, fighting with the antiseptic tang of expensive cleaning products. Every man here is calculating. How much force to break her wrist? How many seconds until the first scream? How quickly the blood could be wiped off the marble before the next course? You can almost hear the unspoken verdict, one black waitress does not matter. Except she has just made herself matter. Amara's arm burns. Old injuries wake up along her shoulder, memory ghosts of recoil and impact. Somewhere in the back of her mind, a voice she hasn't heard in years murmurs, lock the joint, keep the elbow low, don't give him leverage. The chairman's eyes rise to her face. He looks at her properly now, and she feels it, a cold scan, cataloging, gender, race, posture, accent. Ex-military. Not local. Alone. You're making a mistake, he says. Her mouth is dry. She tastes metal, like old blood. The words that leave her lips do not ask for mercy. Maybe, she replies. But not the worst one I've seen. Somewhere near the entrance, the double doors whisper as someone slips inside. The mental geometry of the room adjusts, more witnesses, fewer exits. Amara cannot see who has entered, but the subtle realignment of the guards tells her everything. Their attention angles just off the chairman now, toward the new presence. Her focus does not waver. The woman in cream swallows. Her gaze darts between Amara and the man whose hand is still trapped mid-strike. There is no gratitude there yet, only raw fear. Amara understands that. In certain rooms, survival looks like obedience, not rescue. If you think you would have done the right thing, ask yourself, would you have stepped in before the slap landed, or only after, when it was safe to be outraged? Invisibility shatters in ugly, dangerous ways. Enough, a voice says from behind Amara. It is low, controlled, carrying the weight of habit rather than volume. The word slides across the hall like a line drawn on a map. The guards stiffen, the men at the table sit up straighter without meaning to. The air reorganizes itself. Amara does not turn. She doesn't have to. The small exhale from the nearest guard, the fractional drop in the chairman's shoulders, the way the silence shifts from brittle to watchful, she can read all of it. Someone higher stands behind her. The chairman's lips curve, not into a smile, but into something thinner and sharper. You have 5 seconds, he tells her quietly. Let go, walk away, and pretend this never happened. 5 seconds. The same amount of time it took to load a wounded man into a helicopter while mortar rounds chewed the horizon. The same amount of time it took for an offhand decision in a climate-controlled office to send a convoy down the wrong road. The same amount of time it takes a life to split into before and after. Her fingers do not loosen. He leans in, just enough that only she can hear the next line. You have no idea who you're touching. He's wrong. She knows exactly who he is. She knows the type. The ones who never bleed for the wars they order. The ones who believe hands like hers were built for serving drinks, cleaning messes, absorbing impact. Her voice drops. Neither do you, she says. Behind her, footsteps approach. Steady, measured, not rushed. Whoever is coming is accustomed to rooms that freeze for him. The hairs on the back of her neck rise. Her body remembers this cadence from a different life, a superior officer walking up behind a soldier who just disobeyed a direct order, in front of everyone. The footsteps stop at her back. Close enough that she can feel a line of heat through the thin fabric of her dress. A new scent threads through the air, cutting cleanly between cologne and champagne, cigarette smoke buried under starch and rain. A pause. Then, in Korean, calm and precise. Explain. The command is not for her. It is for the man whose hand she is still holding. For the first time, the chairman's gaze flickers, not to anger, but to something colder, annoyance at being questioned in front of his own men. A server forgot her place, he says. The word server lands like an insult, not a job description. The man behind Amara does not respond immediately. She feels his attention move, to her grip on the wrist, to the woman in cream standing 3 steps back, to the overturned tray on the floor, to the ice cube melting into a small, guilty puddle. The silence stretches. Amara counts heartbeats instead of seconds. He steps to her side, into her peripheral vision. He is not like the others. No flashy watch, no visible tattoos, no ostentatious ring. His suit is plain, his tie almost boring, his face composed in a way that suggests the muscles remember helmets and field briefings more than nightclubs. His eyes meet hers for the briefest instant. He sees her stance. She sees his. Former. That word hangs between them without either of them saying it. Did she? He asks quietly. The question is a knife slipped under the skin of the room. The chairman bristles. You are defending this? I'm asking, the newcomer replies. He still has not raised his voice. He does not need to. Did she forget her place, or remember it? No one breathes. The woman in cream presses a hand over her mouth. Her fingers tremble and leave a faint smear of lipstick across her knuckles. She takes another step back, shoes whispering against the marble, like she is trying to put distance between herself and all of them at once. Amara's arm throbs. Her options are simple. Let go and become invisible again. Or keep holding on and paint a target on her own back, bright enough that even this chandelier room cannot erase it. The newcomer turns his head slightly. What is your name? He asks, eyes still not leaving hers. It is the first time anyone has asked her that in this club without reading it off a name tag. Her throat tightens. Amara Cole, she says. He nods once, like a box has been checked in an internal file. And who taught you to move like that, Ms. Cole? There it is. The past clawing back through the present. She tastes dust and burning air for a heartbeat. The memories crowd in, armored doors, sweat under armor, orders crackling through cheap radios. The flag that sent her into chaos and thanked her with a line on a forgotten certificate. Old job, she answers. The chairman snorts softly. A driver, he says. Nothing more. Her jaw sets. I escorted bodies home, she replies. The sentence lands heavier than any slap. For a moment, even the chandeliers seem to dim. You can leave now, close the page, and pretend you never heard that line. Pretend these rooms are fiction, that no one like Amara ever has to choose between safety and stopping a hand. But if you stay, you'll see what happens when a woman the world tried to disappear forces the most dangerous man in the hall to see her. The newcomer exhales slowly. Let her speak, he says. Then he looks at the chairman, and the atmosphere in the room sharpens like drawn steel. Because if she's right, he adds, we have a bigger problem than a waitress. The guards finally move. Not toward the chairman. Toward her. Hands reach, the space around her shrinking, the marble floor suddenly too bright, too exposed. Amara's grip tightens for one last second, as if she can still hold back the impact of all the consequences rushing toward her. The chairman's eyes narrow. Who, he asks, voice low and dangerous now, do you think you are? His words hang between them, a challenge and a promise. Amara meets his gaze fully for the first time. The room, the guards, the chandeliers, all of it falls away. Someone, she says, who doesn't answer to you. The temperature drops. The newcomer's expression barely shifts, but something in his posture changes, as if he's just watched a soldier step out of formation in front of a firing squad. The chairman's smile is thin and deadly. Then tonight, he murmurs, you learn whose city this is. Behind him, security closes in. The moment stretches, fragile and fatal. Amara still has his hand. And for the first time in this room, power realizes it has been touched. They do not drag her out of the hall. Not yet. 2 guards step in, moving with the slow precision of men who know every camera angle in the room. One takes position at Amara's left shoulder, the other at her right, close enough that she can feel the heat of them, not close enough to touch her without an order. The chairman's wrist is no longer in her hand. She let go when the newcomer spoke, not because she regretted it, but because she understood a different kind of line had been drawn. Once a superior steps in, the rules change. She learned that in sand and dust, under a different flag. Now the rules were crystal and silk. Reset the table, the chairman says. His tone is clipped, a man pretending nothing important just happened. A napkin is straightened, a glass replaced. Staff snap back into motion with mechanical obedience, heads down, hands careful. The woman in cream has already been moved, someone guided her away the second Amara's grip loosened. Amara tracks her for one heartbeat. She is gone behind a door that blends into the wall, swallowed by the architecture. The newcomer, plain suit, observant eyes, has not stopped watching Amara. He stands half-turned between her and the chairman, as if he is weighing the distance, the angles, the potential for something worse. "Escort Ms. Cole to the side office," he says. His voice is neutral. Not kind. Not cruel. The guard's hands close lightly around her arms, the pressure is firm but not brutal. This is not punishment. It is containment. Yet. Amara could resist. Her body knows how. Shift weight, break the grip, drive an elbow back. Take one down, use his momentum. The geometry is simple. But the variables are not. 20 pairs of eyes, for camera she can see, at least 2 more she cannot, and a room full of men who would love an excuse to bleed someone else's courage into the floor. So she walks. The tray still lies overturned near the table. Shards of glass glint like tiny warnings. Someone will blame her for those later. It will be the smallest charge on a longer list. As she passes, she hears it, the first whisper. "Stupid," someone hisses in Korean, low and furious. "Does she want to die?" Another voice, darker, closer to a growl, "She thinks this is a movie." Her jaw tightens. The words land and slide off. She's heard variations before, in hangars and mess halls and hospital corridors. "You're too loud. You're too much. You're asking for it." The chandeliers recede behind her as the guards steer her toward a side corridor. The carpet swallows their footsteps, thick and expensive, the kind of flooring meant to silence everything inconvenient. The hallway smells different from the hall, less perfume, more air conditioning and polished brass. The music from the banquet is muffled now, just a dull thump of bass and laughter that sounds wrong after what just happened. They turn left, then right, down a narrower passage lined with closed doors. No windows. No escape routes except the way they came. How many cameras? Amara asks, in Korean. The guard on her left stiffens. "Quiet," he mutters. So he's not completely numb. She smiles, a small, humorless curl of her mouth. "Just checking how many angles my bad decisions have tonight." Neither of them answer. At the third door, the guard on her right produces a keycard and swipes. A soft click. He opens it and waits, hand gesturing her inside. It is not a cell. The office is compact and sharp, white walls, dark wood desk, a single leather chair behind it and 2 plain chairs in front. There is a low cabinet along one side, a framed abstract painting on the wall, and a large screen mounted near the ceiling, currently off. No windows here either. The temperature is cooler, controlled to the degree. The air smells of lemon cleaner and faint cigarette smoke that no purifier could quite erase. "In," the guard says. She steps over the threshold. He does not follow. The door closes behind her with a soft, expensive sound. The lock engages with a quiet, final click. Amara stands in the middle of the room, her body humming with leftover adrenaline. Now that the immediate danger is gone, the delayed tremor begins, tiny shivers along her fingers, a tightness in her calves, that hollow vibration in the center of her chest like a drum waiting for impact. She rubs her palms down the sides of her dress, as if she can wipe the contact of the chairman's skin away. It doesn't go. A small camera blinks red in the corner of the ceiling. She looks at it directly. "Well," she says softly. "You got your footage?" Silence answers her. She takes the chair facing the desk, not the one behind it. Old habit. Chain of command lives in seating choices. Time stretches. Her heartbeat slows, settling into a steady, heavy rhythm. Somewhere beyond the walls, music swells. Glasses clink. Life continues as if nothing has happened. Her life, on the other hand, has just been cut into before and after. She leans back, eyes on the blank screen. "You should have let go." The voice comes from the doorway. She hadn't heard the lock, hadn't heard the handle. That bothers her. Her senses are usually better than that. Adrenaline, she tells herself. The come-down always blurs the edges. He steps inside, the man from the hall, the one who drew lines with a single word. Up close, the details sharpen, faint white scar along his hairline, nearly hidden by carefully combed hair, a crease at the corner of his mouth that suggests he frowns far more often than he smiles, shoulders that settle with military precision when he stops moving. He closes the door behind him and crosses to the other side of the desk, not sitting yet. Amara straightens automatically. I know, she says. You didn't, he replies. They regard each other across the desk like two people meeting across a border checkpoint. He studies her. Not her face first, her hands. They rest on her knees, fingers laced, knuckles still too pale. His gaze traces the tendons, the faint calluses along her palms, the old scar near her thumb. What is your name? He asks again, though she knows he heard it already. Amara Cole. Amara, he repeats, tasting the syllables like he's placing them in a file. You're not Korean. Sharp, she says. There is a beat of silence. Then, unexpectedly, his mouth twitches, half a ghost of a smile that never fully forms. He sits. Do you understand who you laid hands on? He asks. Yes. Say it. The chairman of this club. She keeps her tone flat. Park Jun-suk. And do you understand, he continues, still in that measured voice, what that means for you? Her eyes flick to the camera in the corner. The red light is still on. It means, she says slowly, that I stopped him from hitting a woman in front of 200 witnesses and more cameras than this one. That's not what they'll say. I know. Her fingers tighten. He watches the movement. You reacted like a soldier, he says. Not like staff. There it is again. The word that draws lines. She looks at him properly now, taking him apart the way she would a new officer back then. His suit is expensive but not loud. His tie is straight. His shoes are polished, but you can see where his weight sits in the balls of his feet rather than his heels, ready to move, not simply stand and be seen. Old habits, she says. Former? Yes. Which country? She hesitates. He notices. Of course he does. United States, she answers. His gaze shifts, the faintest narrowing. Which branch? Army. Role? Logistics security. His brows lift a fraction. Convoy protection. She shrugs. Among other things. He leans back, steepling his fingers. They abandoned you, he says. It's not a question. Her jaw twitches. You read that in my file? She asks. I inferred it, he replies. They don't send people like you to carry drinks unless they've finished with you. The words hit harder than anything the chairman said. Finished with you. She thinks of discharge papers, polite phrases, signatures from men who never saw the roadside bombs they sent her past. She thinks of the slow, bureaucratic erasure of what happened on a night when the sky burned orange and radios went dead. Is that why you're here? She asks. The ones who finished with you sent you to watch the ones who finished with me? This time, his smile actually appears, quick, dry, gone almost before it forms. You talk too much for a waitress, he says. You keep calling me that, she replies. But you know better. He doesn't answer. The silence that follows is heavier, but not hostile. It is the silence of someone recalibrating. What did you think would happen, he asks at last, when you stopped his hand? Amara exhales through her nose. Honestly, she says. I didn't. His brows knit. I saw the angle, she continues. The shift in his shoulders, the way she folded in. There was half a second before his palm connected with her face. That's the window. You move where you don't. You don't think. You think now, he says. Yes. And I'm aware, she says, that I'm in deep shit. The corner of his mouth twitches again. Language, he murmurs, almost reflexive. She snorts softly. You brought me in here for manners? No, he folds his hands. I brought you here so the chairman doesn't. That lands. She goes still. What does he want? She asks. Control, he says simply. He lost it for a moment. He will try to take it back. By making an example of me. Possibly. She feels it again, the narrowing of her world, the way options vanish one by one. She has known this feeling in different forms, when the road back to base was cut off, when an order trapped her between civilians and incoming fire, when a signature on paper erased months of her life. How long do I have? She asks. He studies her face, as if looking for cracks. Until he decides whether you are useful, he says. Or inconvenient. That's not an answer. It's the only one you have. Her hands clench once on her knees, then relax. She closes her eyes for a second, pulls in a slow breath. The office smells faintly of coffee that isn't here anymore, a ghost of previous meetings. Serious ones. Men like him, men like Park, planning things that never make the news. You could have let them drag me out, she says finally, opening her eyes. Why didn't you? He considers. There are very few people in this building who would risk touching Park in public, he replies. Fewer who would do it for someone else. He lets that hang. You may be a problem, he says. But you are not a boring one. That's supposed to be comforting? It's supposed to mean, he says, that I'm not throwing you away yet. The word yet is not a threat. It is a fact. Is this the part where you offer to help me? She asks. For a price. Not yet, he says. So what is this, then? Consequences, he replies. Arriving before explanations. She huffs a small, humorless laugh. That sounds familiar. He glances at the camera. Turn it off, he says. A beat. Then the red light goes dark. Amara's skin prickles. She hadn't expected that. Colonel Kong Min-jae, he says, like an introduction in a different life. You can call me Colonel Kong. Or Kong. Not sir, that privilege belongs to men like Park, apparently. Colonel, she repeats, feeling the word settle. Still serving? In my own way. She leans forward slightly. This is his building, isn't it? She asks. His club. Kong nods once. And you? She presses. You work for him? I work here, he says. I oversee security. That includes him. That sounds complicated. It is, he admits. Which is why tonight is a problem. For you or for me? For both. He opens a drawer, removes a single sheet of paper, and slides it across the desk. It is blank. She stares at it. What's that? She asks. Your statement, he says. What happened in that room? She looks up sharply. You want me to write it down so you can rewrite it? If I wanted that, he replies, I wouldn't have turned the camera off first. He pushes a pen toward her. You have a choice, he says. You can give me the version they expect, an apology, an excuse, a claim that you panicked. Or you can give me the truth. And the difference changes what? Whether I can protect you, he says simply. There it is, the word she knew would arrive. Protection. It always has a price. Amara picks up the pen. It feels heavier than it should, balanced wrong in her fingers after years of holding things designed to kill, not to record. You really think you can? She asks. Protect me? He doesn't answer immediately. I think, he says at last, that I can make it harder for them to erase you. Her chest tightens. Why would you care? She asks. Kang's gaze doesn't flinch. Because, he says, once, someone like you put herself between me and a man like Park. No cameras. No witnesses. She didn't walk away. The room seems to tilt. Amara searches his face for a lie and finds none. So this is about a debt, she says. It's about pattern recognition, he replies. And about not making the same mistake twice. She looks down at the blank page. Her hand hovers over it, pen tip a breath above the surface. Outside the door, footsteps pass and fade. Somewhere down the hall, a muffled burst of laughter leaks from the banquet, followed by a round of polite applause. Life continues in its glittering orbit while she sits here, deciding how much of herself to put in ink. She starts to write. No excuses. No apology. A tray. A raised hand. A woman in cream. A window of half a second. Her letters are sharp, cramped, the handwriting of someone used to filling out forms in bad light, on moving vehicles. When she finishes, she sets the pen down and slides the page back. Kang reads it in silence. His eyes move steadily from line to line. He doesn't react, doesn't interrupt, doesn't correct. When he reaches the end, he folds the paper once, cleanly, and slips it into the inside pocket of his jacket. No copy? She asks. Not one you'll see, he says. She studies him. So what now? Now, Kang says, rising, you go back to work. She blinks. You're serious. Not tonight, he clarifies. You are done for the evening. Report tomorrow at 10. To where? Ask the staff manager, he says. He'll have instructions. And Park? She asks. His expression cools. He will decide how offended he is, Kang says. I will decide how much of that offense he is allowed to act on. That sounds like a war. He opens the door. It's Tuesday, he replies. Around here, this is routine. He steps aside, an invitation and a dismissal in one. Amara stands. As she passes him, he says quietly, do not leave the city without telling me. She pauses. You think I'm running? I think you're smart enough to consider it, he says. And proud enough not to. Her throat tightens. Pride has a price, she says. So does silence, he answers. Their eyes meet for one long second. Then she walks out into the hallway, the door closing softly behind her. The carpets still swallow sound, the chandeliers still glow down the corridor, and somewhere behind double doors, music still plays for men who believe nothing in their world has truly changed. They're wrong. She has stopped one hand. And tonight, for the first time, the system that built that hand has started to notice her. Morning finds Amara before sleep ever does. She lies on the narrow mattress in her staff room, staring at the cracked line in the ceiling plaster as the city crawls toward daylight outside. Somewhere beyond the thin wall, someone's alarm chirps, gets slapped into silence, chirps again. Pipes hum. A door slams. The Han River Club wakes like a machine, pieces moving long before the guests arrive. Her body remembers last night in pulses. The weight of Park's wrist in her hand. The cold inside Kang's eyes when he said the word abandoned. The blank page. She swings her legs over the side of the bed and sits up slowly. The air smells faintly of detergent and old dust, the staff quarters are a world away from the chandeliers upstairs. Thin curtains leak gray light. Her uniform hangs on the back of the chair, already pressed, already waiting, like it expects her to pretend none of this changed anything. Report at 10, Kang had said. Not you're fired. Not don't come back. That almost bothers her more. She checks the time on her cheap phone. 8:47. Plenty of time to run. She could pack in 10 minutes, there's not much to take. A duffel bag, a few changes of clothes, a faded photo tucked between pages of an old paperback. Cash in an envelope taped under the dresser. Bus to the airport. One-way ticket to anywhere that doesn't know the name Park Jun-suk. Except she has learned this the hard way, you don't outrun a system by crossing a border. You outrun it by becoming something it can't predict. She stands, dresses, ties the apron around her waist slower than usual, fingers moving automatically. When she looks in the tiny mirror above the sink, a stranger looks back, a woman with shadows under her eyes and a jaw set like she's about to walk into a briefing, not a shift. You look tired, she tells her reflection quietly. You look alive, it answers. At 9:52 she is outside the staff office, 10 minutes early and pretending that she isn't. The hallway upstairs is quieter at this hour. No guests yet. Just the echo of cleaning carts and muted conversation in Korean, the soft squeak of rubber wheels on tile. The sharp smell of polish fills the air, lemon and chemicals and effort. The staff manager, Mr. Choi, sits behind his cluttered desk, a man built out of percentages, 60% flustered, 30% exhausted, 10% afraid of the people upstairs. He startles when he sees her in the doorway, then rearranges his features into something closer to neutrality. Cole, he says, using her last name like it's a problem he has to solve. You're early. You told me to come at 10, she replies. He checks the clock. It is 9:54. Yes, well. He clears his throat, shuffles the same stack of papers he has moved 3 times. Different assignment. She waits. You will not be on the floor tonight, he continues. No main hall. No VIP rooms. So I'm fired, she says. He flinches. No. Not exactly. His gaze flicks past her shoulder, toward the hallway behind, like he expects someone else to be listening. You are reassigned. Temporarily. Security liaison. The words do not make sense at first, like he has stacked them wrong. Security, she repeats slowly. Liaison. You will report to Colonel Kang's office at 10 sharp, Choi says, as if reading from a script. He will explain your duties. Am I being punished, she asks, or promoted? He doesn't answer. Just go, he mutters, waving her away. And Cole? She pauses. Stay out of sight, he says. For your own good. Her laugh is a short, dry thing. That went great last night. He doesn't smile. The security wing is on a floor most guests never see, 1 level below the main hall, above the loading docks. The lighting is harsher here, fluorescent instead of chandelier soft. The walls are plain. The air smells of coffee and printer ink and recycled air. Kang's office door is unmarked. She knocks once. Enter. His voice carries through the wood easily. The room is not large, but it feels bigger than the side office from last night. 1 wall holds screens, most of them currently dark, one showing the empty banquet hall being reset, tables draped in fresh linen, staff moving like ghosts. Another wall is covered with maps and floor plans, pins and colored lines converting space into strategy. Kang sits behind a desk much like the one downstairs, but the clutter here is different. Folders, a mug that has seen better days, a small metal box with a worn insignia she almost recognizes. He looks up as she steps inside. Amara, he says. No title this time. Colonel, she replies. He gestures to the chair across from him. Sit. She does, back straight, hands on her thighs. Her eyes flick once to the cameras on the wall, those are off. The red lights are dark. I see you didn't run, he says. Ticket prices went up overnight, she answers. He huffs something that might be a laugh. Silence settles for a beat, heavier than before. This is the part, she says, where you tell me what I signed up for without knowing. You didn't sign anything, he replies. Yet. Her tongue presses against the back of her teeth. You said yesterday they abandoned me, she says. That they always do. I meant it, he says. How did you know? He leans back, studies her. You can tell a lot from posture, he says. The way someone steps into a room. The way they measure distance. The way they touch someone like Park and don't flinch until later. That doesn't tell you abandoned, she counters. Just trained. He nods slowly. You're right, he says. The abandonment was on the paper. He pulls open a drawer, takes out a slim manila folder, and lays it on the desk between them. No name on the tab, just a number. Her chest tightens. Is that? Your file, he says. She stares at it like it might explode. I thought my file was, back there, she says. In a building with too much security and not enough honesty. That's the official one, he replies. This is the one they buried. Her fingers twitch. What's the difference, she asks. About 50 pages, he says softly. And the truth. He doesn't open it. He waits. She reaches forward slowly, hesitates a centimeter above the cardboard. Her skin tingles. It feels like touching a headstone. Why do you have this, she asks. Because I've been paid to collect ghosts for a long time, he says. Yours was mislabeled. She lifts the cover. The first page is a photograph. It is her, 5 years younger, in uniform, standing beside a convoy of armored trucks lined up under a white, pitiless sky. Her hair is longer, pulled back tight. Her mouth is a straight line. Her eyes look more tired than they should for someone that age. The caption underneath reads, Kol a SGT Softlogsek. Her fingers trace the letters. Where did you get this? She whispers. The same place I get most things, he says. People who think information is the cheapest currency. Her gaze moves down the page, commendations she never saw, notations about missions that were never called by the names she remembers. Operation Night Lantern, successful. She sees instead the burst of fire on the horizon when the third truck hit the IED. Convoy 17, Route Delta, minimal casualties. She hears the screaming. Minimal, she mutters. That's one way to put it. Kong watches her, not the file. What do you remember? He asks. She laughs, a harsh sound. What do you want? She says. The sanitized version? The one I had to recite to make sure the paperwork matched? Or the part where we drove through a village that had already buried its dead and pretended we couldn't smell the smoke? Start with the first time you escorted a body home, he says quietly. Her throat closes. She looks up sharply. Why? Because, he says, that's when they decided who you were to them. The air in the office thickens. She looks back down at the file, turns a page. There is a form there, mortuary affairs, next of kin notification checklist. Her name is on the signature line. She can't remember writing it, but she knows she did. She sees it again. The plane's interior is cold, breath-fogging in the dim light. The flag-draped coffin is strapped down, metal clamps gleaming. Jet fuel stings her nose. The hum of the engines vibrates through her boots. She stands at the head of the coffin because no one else volunteered. She had thought, stupidly, that escorting a body home was a kind of honor. They had told her that. His mother didn't cry, she says aloud. Kang's voice is low. Whose? Martinez, she answers. Not his real name. Not the one she heard shouted across the radios. But the one on the file. He was 22. Wrote bad poetry. Forgot to clean his weapon unless I yelled at him. What happened to him? Khan asks. Wrong road, she says. Wrong time. The part of the convoy maps someone in an office back home marked as low risk. Her fingers curl. We hit an IED, she continues, the words coming faster now. He was in the second truck. Should have been me. I was supposed to swap seats, but he offered to stay because my knee was acting up and I was stupid enough to say yes. The office fades. The plane's hum fills her ears. On the way back, she says, they handed me a script. Khan tilts his head. A script. What to say, she explains. To his family. To the press, if it came up. She almost smiles. They even bolded the words I needed to emphasize. He died protecting his team. He believed in the mission. We did everything we could. Did you read it? He asks. Of course, she says. I had to. Chain of command. And what did you say? She looks him in the eye. We shouldn't have been on that road. He doesn't blink. How did they react? He asks. The family, she says. They stared at me like I had just dropped the coffin on the floor. The officer who came with me? He pulled me aside afterward and told me I had undermined morale. And command? They called it an emotional lapse, she says. Said combat stress affects judgment. Recommended I take a step back from frontline duties. For my own good. Her mouth twists around the last words. Khan nods slowly. Then what? He asks. Then they put me on logistics only, she says. Less visibility. More paperwork. Fewer opportunities to say inconvenient things in front of people who might repeat them. She flips another page. There are incident reports she recognizes, convoys she rode, bases she passed through. But the language is wrong, smoothed over. Losses downgraded. Decisions reframed. One in particular makes her throat close. Patrol 9, Route Sierra, loss of vehicle, no attributable fault. She remembers the briefing before that patrol. The warning from local intel about increased activity. Her objection. The shrugged response. Someone higher up needed plausible deniability, she murmurs. Kang's gaze sharpens. That line from last night, he says. In the hall. She nods. I watched men die because someone in a clean shirt didn't want to admit a mistake on record, she says. Afterward, they called it fog of war. Did you file your own report? He asks. Yes, she says. I wrote exactly what happened. Names. Times. The fact that we requested a route change and were denied. And? She taps the page. This, she says, is what ended up in the system instead. He leans forward, reading over her shoulder. Who rewrote it? He asks. Someone 4 ranks above me, she says. Someone who still gets invited to speak at parades. Kang's jaw tightens. And then, he prompts. Then they rotated me home, she says. Doctor signed off on adjustment issues. They handed me a nice letter, a box of medals I didn't ask for, and a pamphlet about counseling. No follow-up, he says. Why bother, she replies. I wasn't useful anymore. Too loud. Too specific. She closes the file gently, as if the pages might tear. Work dried up, she continues. Nobody wants to hire someone with combat baggage and a history of questioning orders. So I took what I could get. Security gigs. Bars. Eventually a friend of a friend said Korea was hiring foreign staff for upscale clubs. Good money, if you know when to shut up. He looks at her. You came here to disappear, he says. She shrugs one shoulder. Seemed easier, she says. New language. New culture. Fewer ghosts. And last night, he says, you stepped into the center of the room and grabbed the hand of the man who owns it. Her mouth twists. Old habits, she repeats. Khan taps the folder. Do you know what this is worth? He asks. To me, she says. Not sure yet. To them? Apparently enough to bury. To men like Park, he corrects. It's a map. A map to what? To who you are, he says. What you've survived. What you've already lost. People like him, they like to know the fault lines. Where to press. Where to threaten. Where to offer exactly the thing you were denied. Recognition, she says. Belonging, he counters. Or the illusion of it. She leans back, feels the chair creak. So why show me, she asks. If this is such a valuable map, why hand it to the enemy? You're not the enemy, he says. Not yet, she replies. He considers that and doesn't argue. I showed you, he says, because you deserve to know what they tried to erase. And because if Park decides to come after you, he will not attack your body first. He will attack your story. She stares at him. He'll say you're unstable, Kong continues. That you're angry, that you misread a situation. That you're desperate for attention. He will twist what happened over there to undermine what you did here. And you? She asks. Where do you stand in that script? He folds his hands again. I've spent 20 years cleaning up after other men's decisions, he says. Military, intelligence, corporate. Different uniforms, same power. I know how they work. I know how they lie. That sounds like a confession, she says. It's context, he replies. I am not a good man, Amara. But I am useful. And right now, my usefulness requires you alive. The word alive carries more weight than she expects. So this is where you offer protection, she says quietly. Yes, he answers. She waits. And the price? She asks. He doesn't hesitate. You work for me, he says. Not as staff. Not as a body to stand by the door. As eyes. As instinct. You see things my men miss. You tell me where the cracks are. In return, I keep Park's anger from landing where it wants to. On my face, she says. On your life, he corrects. The office feels smaller now. Work for security, she says slowly. After everything security did, or didn't do, before. I'm not asking you to trust the system, he says. I'm asking you to help me undermine it from inside. She laughs once, a humorless, sharp exhale. You make it sound noble, she says. It isn't, he replies. It's survival. Yours. And maybe a few others. The girl in cream, for instance. Amara's chest tightens. You know her name? She asks. Yes, he says. For now, that's enough. She hates that answer. But she hates the idea of never seeing that girl again more. If I say no, she asks. Then you leave, he says. You find another job. Another city. And Park finds another face to hit when no one is looking. He doesn't add the part where Park might still decide to punish her for last night, with or without Kang's interference. He doesn't have to. You can't promise he won't touch me, she says. No, he agrees. I can't. Then what exactly are you protecting? He meets her gaze. Your ability to fight back, he says. And your memory. Men like Park love making people disappear. They hate when someone like you won't stay gone. The file lies between them, thin and heavy at once. Amara looks at him, at the blank wall behind his shoulder where no flag hangs. I swore an oath once, she says. It didn't mean what I thought it did. I know, he says. I'm not swearing anything again. I'm not asking you to, he replies. I'm asking for a choice. Not just tonight. Every night. You can walk away whenever you decide the price is too high. But understand this. He leans in, his voice dropping. The moment you stood between Park and that girl, the target appeared on your back. My offer doesn't paint it. It just makes it visible. The air feels sharp in her lungs. For a second, she sees the convoy again, the wrong road, the blast, the smoke. The way no one warned them because someone needed a clean report. She thinks of the girl in cream disappearing behind the hidden door, makeup perfect, hands shaking. Old habits. New battlefield. Protection always comes with a price, she murmurs. Yes, he says. So does pride, she adds. His eyes hold hers. Which are you willing to pay, he asks. Silence stretches between them, taut as wire. Amara reaches out and closes the folder. When she lifts her hand, she feels the weight of every name inside it pressing against her skin. I'll work for you, she says. On one condition. He waits. You don't get to rewrite my story, she says. Not again. Not for him. Not for anyone. Something in his expression shifts, respect, maybe, or recognition of a line even he can't cross. Agreed, he says. He stands, extends his hand. This time, she is the one who hesitates. Then she takes it. His grip is firm, dry, professional. No ceremony. No flag. You understand, he says quietly, that from this moment, Park will not just see a waitress when he looks at you. He never did, she replies. Good, Kang says. Then you won't be surprised when he starts acting like you are a threat. She releases his hand. Welcome to the other side, Amara, he says. She almost smiles. Feels familiar, she answers. As she leaves the office, the file's weight seems to follow her, an invisible pack strapped to her shoulders. The corridors of the club look the same, plain walls, humming lights, distant clatter, but something fundamental has shifted. She is no longer just a ghost carrying trays through someone else's empire. She is a problem worth solving. And somewhere above them, in a room full of crystalline power, a man whose hand she stopped is already deciding how to solve her. The first thing they take from Amara is the floor. Not the job. Not yet. Just the space where she used to move unnoticed. The next evening, the staff schedule appears on the bulletin board outside the cramped break room. Names in neat columns, times in careful blocks. Her finger runs down the list automatically, looking for Cole, main hall. It isn't there. Instead, in smaller print beside a highlighted box. Cole, Amara, Security Liaison, Level B. Level B is below the main hall. Below the chandeliers. Below the place where everything changed. She moved up fast, someone mutters in Korean behind her. Not up, another voice replies. In. Amara doesn't turn. She can feel their eyes on her back, some hostile, some curious, none friendly enough to risk being seen beside her. Mr. Choi appears, sweating slightly, a clipboard clutched to his chest like a shield. Cole, he says. You saw the update? I can read, she answers. His smile twitches. You report to security now. Colonel Kang's division. I already did, she says. Yesterday. This is official, he replies. You're off the floor. No serving, no tables, no VIP rooms. Am I fired or promoted? She asks. He flinches at the word fired, glances toward the ceiling as if Park might hear it through marble. You are reassigned, he says. For your own safety. Her laugh is low and without humor. Whose safety are we really talking about? He doesn't answer. Just pats the clipboard once, like that settles the matter, and hurries away. The corridor to Level B smells different from the guest floors. Less perfume, more metal, and cleaning fluid. The lighting is utilitarian, no chandeliers, just flat white panels humming faintly. Doors line the walls, marked with numbers and simple labels, storage, laundry, electrical, security. She knocks once and pushes the last door open. The security room is cooler than the hall above, a windowless box with a long console of monitors and controls. Screens show slices of the club, the lobby, the entrance road, the main hall from different angles, service corridors, staff elevators. A thin woman in a navy uniform sits at the console, tapping at a keyboard. A younger man leans against the back wall, arms folded. Both look up when Amara steps in. You're early, Kang says from behind her. She hadn't heard him follow. That still bothers her. He moves past her to the center of the room, nodding to the woman at the console. This is Seo, he says. Camera control. That is June. He handles access logs. Seo gives Amara a brief, cool look, then returns her gaze to the monitors. June doesn't bother hiding his curiosity. So this is her, he says. The hand. Amara arches a brow. That's what they're calling me now. Among other things, he replies. Kang's glance shuts him up. You'll spend your shift here or on Level B, Kang tells Amara. No main hall. No close contact with guests unless instructed. House arrest, she says. Protection, he corrects. Upstairs is hot. Down here, you are harder to reach. And easier to watch, she says. He doesn't deny it. He gestures toward an empty chair beside Seo. For now, you observe. Learn the feeds. Learn the rhythms. Amara sits. Screens glow in front of her, each one a silent, flattened world. On one, staff reset tables where she stood last night. On another, a delivery truck backs into the dock, brake lights red and wary. Camera 4, Kang says. Main hall. You know it. She watches the view, sweeping shot, chandeliers blazing, tables aligned. Slow pan catches the far wall where staff stand in their usual line, faces neutral. She is not there. Blind spots? He asks. She scans the screen. Corners by the pillars, she says. Reflections from the mirrors. That table in the south corner, if someone stands between the column and the floral arrangement, you lose their hands. Seo glances over, something like approval flickering across her face. Not bad, she murmurs. Camera 9, Kang continues. Service corridor behind VIP suites. Amara picks out exits, alcoves, the angle of the lens. Hours pass in a slow drip of motion and pattern. Staff move in loops. Guests arrive, their faces blurred by distance and grain. Kang quizzes her in short bursts, always on what isn't obvious. What do you notice? Who keeps their head too still? Who looks at the camera first when they walk in? Sometimes, it feels like training. Sometimes, like interrogation. Between questions, she feels the walls closing in. Down here, the club is bones and nerves. No windows, no fresh air, just recycled breath and the constant hum of electricity. The luxury upstairs becomes a live feed, not a place she can enter. At the snack break, June offers her a bottle of water. Heard you made the chairman angry, he says lightly. Just returning the favor, she replies. Seo doesn't look away from the monitors. Staff say you grabbed his hand, she says. Stopped him from correcting a guest. Amara's jaw tightens. Is that what we're calling it now? Correction? People upstairs don't like the word hit, June says. Too simple. Too true. Seo's tone stays flat. People downstairs don't like the word target, she adds. But that's what you are. Amara drinks, the plastic bottle crackling in her grip. Are we done with orientation? She asks Kong. Almost, he says. Stand. She does. He walks her out into the level B corridor, down past storage and laundry to a door marked staff exit only. A camera blinks in the corner. This is your station tonight, he says. You check badges. You log departures. You keep your eyes open. That's it? She asks. For now. She studies the spot. It looks harmless enough. A metal stand for the logbook. A stool. A mat for tired feet. The door leads to a concrete stairwell, the kind no guest ever sees. She glances up at the camera. That one always been there? She asks. Kang's gaze follows hers. Since this morning, he says. So Park can watch me, she says. So I can, he counters. It doesn't sound like reassurance. She takes her post as the evening shift begins. Staff come by in small waves, kitchen runners hauling crates, cleaners with bags of linens, a bartender carrying a locked case. She checks badges, signs names, listens. They moved her because of the incident, someone whispers in Korean just out of earshot. Incident, another scoffs. She grabbed his hand. She's lucky to be alive. Or unlucky, a third voice adds. You don't want a man like that remembering your face. They lower their voices when they pass her. Some won't meet her eyes. A few do and look away quickly, as if eye contact is contagious. Hours stretch. The fluorescent light buzzes overhead. The mat under her feet does little against the ache creeping up her calves. She shifts weight, tries not to think of patrols that lasted longer in worse conditions. Small tests begin. A junior manager rushes out, no badge, phone pressed to his ear. Emergency call, he says, already pushing at the bar. Badge, she replies. He rolls his eyes. You know me. I work here. It's still protocol. He huffs, digs the card from his pocket, flashes it. Happy? She scans it, lets him pass. Later, a kitchen supervisor brings out a crate without logging it. When she points to the book, he frowns. We never log vegetables, he says. The form says all items, she answers. Write it down. He hesitates just long enough to tell her this is less about carrots and more about seeing if she will bend. He writes. Twice, her radio crackles with conflicting orders. Let the band out the side door, no checks. All exits require checks tonight, no exceptions. She follows the stricter rule and catches the band rolling out a case that rattles too heavily for instruments. They grumble but open it. Inside, cables, amps, nothing more. Still, she sees the way the security guard watching from the end of the hall marks something on his clipboard. Every small choice recorded. Every insistence on protocol another entry in a file she will never see. By midnight, the edges of her awareness feel raw. Cameras, radios, footsteps, voices, everything seems aimed at her. She tells herself she's being paranoid. She also knows paranoia has kept her alive before. Near 1 a.m, a senior manager named Hwang appears, suit slightly rumpled, tie loosened. He smells of whiskey and expensive cologne. Cole, he says in English, smiling too wide. Working hard? That's the idea, she says. He waves a keycard. Need to get to the VIP storage. Last-minute request. Chairman's orders. There's no radio call. No note in the log. Which VIP, she asks. He raises a brow. Do you question every order that comes with the chairman's name? Do you have it in writing, she asks. Or do I just take your word and explain later when something goes missing? He chuckles, but there's no warmth in it. Careful, he says. Security liaison or not, you're still staff. She holds out the logbook. Sign, she says. His jaw ticks. For a moment, she thinks he'll push it. Then he snatches the pen, scrawls something, and strides through the door. She notes the time, 1:07. 17 minutes later, he comes back, a small black case in his hand. No larger than a jewelry box, matte and unmarked. He holds it carefully, like it matters. No need to log this, he says. You didn't see it. I see everything that goes through this door, she replies. He leans closer. His breath reeks of whiskey now. Not if you want to stay, he murmurs. He walks away. Her skin crawls. She thinks about calling Kong. Her thumb hovers over the radio. She drops it. Whatever Huang carried, it's probably another piece in a game she can't see yet. She logs the exit anyway, a small act of quiet disobedience. The rest of the shift drags. By the time she returns to the security room, her eyes burn. Seo looks up from the monitors. We had a quiet night, she says. No fights, no complaints. June frowns at his screen. Maybe too quiet, he says. I'm missing a file. What file? Kang asks, stepping in behind Amara. The VIP inventory from tonight's event, June replies. Signed in, signed out, but the digital copy isn't here. Camera 16 glitched at 1:10:2. Amara's stomach dips. Camera 16, she says. What does it cover? June taps keys. A frozen image pops up, a narrow hallway, heavy door, discreet plaque. VIP storage. The timestamp in the corner, 1:06 to 1:12. Black screen. Kang's gaze slides to her. Where were you at that time, he asks. Staff exit, she says. Huang went through with a keycard. Said he had a request from Park. Signed the log. June swivels his screen. Log says Huang entered at 0:55, exited at 1:03, he says. Nothing at 1:07. That's wrong, Amara says. I watched him write it. Paper log is here, Seo says, passing it over. Amara flips to the page. The line she remembers, Han HJ, VIP storage, 1:07, is gone. In its place, a neat entry in different handwriting, kitchen supervisor, waste removal. Her skin goes cold. Someone changed it, she says. June shrugs. Only 3 people touched this book tonight. You, the kitchen staff, and manager Huang. And now, Kang says quietly, a high-value item from VIP storage is reported missing. The room goes still. Amara feels the walls tighten. I never went near that door, she says. I didn't leave my post. Seo's eyes stay on the screen. Camera by the staff exit shows her there the whole time, she says. No gaps. But the camera on storage glitched, June repeats. And the paper record doesn't match the digital one. Kang picks up the logbook, thumb resting on the altered line. Park will not care about the glitch, he says. He will care that the only person on duty near that exit is the same woman who grabbed his hand. Amara hears it then, the quiet click of a trap half sprung. I did my job, she says. Kang's gaze meets hers. I know, he says. That's why someone is making it look like you didn't. He closes the logbook with a soft, final sound. Get some sleep, Amara, he says. Tomorrow, they start asking questions. She leaves the room with the taste of metal in her mouth and a new weight on her shoulders. Protection, she thinks, feels a lot like being placed in the center of a target,